Hello, and welcome to another episode of Who's That Anime with your host Colin and Steve. Um, this week,
Hello.
this week we're talking about the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, not the melancholy as it says in our window here.
Yeah, that's fine. They're related. But before we get into that, we should talk about the disappearance of Who's That Anime.
Yeah, also by blood,
Yes,
related by blood.
yes.
Um, yeah, so yeah, we took a what 4 week month break.
Yeah. We finished recording like in early July, and then I suppose that the technical term is shit got crazy for a while. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Restrictions got loosened, and at the same time as that happened, I went through like a billion different COVID tests and
Oh
all
yeah,
that fun and games.
oh you did.
Uh,
That's just
yep,
for
yep.
for the
Two
skills on holiday.
Yep, two potential two potential positives in the family, but none actually. Um, that was a lot of fun. Then I think we both took some time off, like generally for holiday time, which was
Yeah,
really necessary.
got catching up with the family and stuff. Um,
Uh, and then my work got a bit nuts. It is still a bit nuts, but I'm now a little more in control of the nuts, so that's
in control of
that's
your
good.
nuts.
I'm in control of my nuts now, so that is a positive.
It is a positive.
Um,
You never really want,
a very big positive.
never want not to be in
You
control of your
definitely don't want
nuts.
to. You don't want loose nuts.
No.
Um, so so yeah, and here we are. Also, it is difficult to find a window of nearly 3 hours really to watch this movie. It is not like normally it's easier to watch the episodes because we do like what usually like maybe 60 80 minutes of prep for a recording session, and this time we had to do nearly, well, more than double that anyway.
Well, yeah, yeah, definitely for this. I generally watch all the episodes in the same night we record. If
As is
not,
tradition.
yes, that's tradition. 'Cause otherwise, I'll just forget everything about it. It's like, what happened in that episode? Oh, that
Yeah,
guy died. All right, okay.
has hasn't stopped us before, to be
No,
fair.
no, I hasn't.
But
Yeah.
but
So
it is exciting to be back and recording again, and I am, without giving away too much, I'm honestly glad this is the thing that's bringing us back together to talk about
yeah,
anime again.
this, yeah.
But yep,
Okay,
I
that's good.
think this should be good.
But
Um, this is not an easy movie to find.
no, it's not. It's unless you own it on DVD, then it's quite easy to be in your
Yes,
shelf.
I did to regale you. Like I know you were saying that you watched this through a combination of various online mediums. Um,
Some legal, some not
I
so legal.
yeah, I opted for the legal route first, where I ended up being able to watch maybe 10 minutes of it using a VPN and Netflix. Uh, but I managed to watch maybe 10 minutes of it over an hour
Oh
while
God.
it buffed and streamed and didn't really work.
Where were you?
And then
Where were you?
it was India, Netflix India, who I should also point out do not have the Transformers icon set because I got replaced with this random icon on my Netflix that was not my Ultra Magnus picture. So yeah,
Oh,
make that make that what you will. I don't know why that is.
censorship.
Um, yeah, it's a weird one. And
Hmm.
then I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm gonna ask Colin how he watched it, and Colin was like, yeah. So I watched it through some more nefarious means. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do that. Uh, and then that kind of worked for a bit, and I watched maybe another 20 minutes, and then I paused it and came back to it, and it stopped working entirely. And I was like, I'm gonna lose my nut in a minute here. I need to go and figure out a way. So I was like, I'm gonna go and check on Just Watch and find out where I can rent this or buy this. And I was like, oh, it's available in the Microsoft store to rent for £3.50. And I was like, I'm just gonna go and do that. Like, I'm just gonna go and buy it there. So like I'm on my phone. I sign in and I pay the rental fee, and then it turns out I can't watch it on my mobile or my iPad. That's not a thing you can do. It's like, okay,
What?
fine. Right, I'll get up and I'll go and sit in my office, and where I am now, I'll go and sit and put it on the television with the Xbox. And I put it on the Xbox, and I'm like, how do I watch this? How do I do this? This is, yeah, okay. Maybe I just need to look for the movie I just rented in the store, and it'll just tell me to watch it. So I look for it, and it gives me the option to rent it again. I'm like, don't want to rent it, please. I just want to watch the movie I rented. And you would think a simple Google search of how to watch rented movies on Xbox would provide relatively clear instruction about how to approach that. I can tell you now, you would be wrong. It took me maybe 30 minutes of Google searching to find the app that I needed to find and download on my Xbox. That is an official Xbox app, might I add,
God.
to watch the movie. And I eventually got it, installed it, and did that. The app's trash. It's awful. Like, so I don't know what. Like, making a stance here right now. No money will ever be spent on the Microsoft Video Store until they fix that shit, because it's just awful. So, as you may know, Colin, I have recently upgraded my receiver
Oh yes,
in my
yes.
office.
Yep.
So I now have a 4K HDR capable receiver. And it's like, this is good. And I like to use this scene from Malcolm in the Middle as a good example of how my mind works. Have you ever seen the one where he goes to change the light bulb? What is it? He goes to change the light bulb and then goes into the drawer to get the thing to do that, to get the light bulb, but realizes the drawer doesn't work properly, so he then fixes the drawer and fixes the other thing and eventually gets back to the light bulb.
Uh-huh.
So that happened to me. And I was like, okay, so let's watch this. And I eventually get the movie on screen, and it's squashed. Like, I'm losing half the movie on the screen. I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. Like, the UI and everything seems fine.
Yeah.
Why would that be? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go and check the settings in the thing, and it's like 1080p, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's talking specifically about the video. I was like, but it's standard def. I didn't pay for the high definition version. I paid for the standard def version, and it's like, why is that telling me it's 1080p? It's like, is that telling me that my new receiver is not doing what it's supposed to be doing? Oh, god damn it! So I'm like, right, okay, I need to figure out why this isn't showing through a full 4K UHD signal, and I'm going back and forward for ages. No idea. It's like I'm clicking on it, show me my HDR settings. It's like, your setup just is not HDR compatible, and it's like, it fucking is. Like, it is. It absolutely is. And eventually it turns out that one of the cables I'd used to attach the television wasn't HDMI 2.0.
Oh wow.
So yeah. Tell me about it. Or it may have been like 1.9A or something like that. So it had like 4K signal but no HDR,
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, I don't know. Either way, it was not allowing it to come through. So I switched the cable. And now that worked, and I was like, okay. But the movie was still squashed, and it was like, oh, this is just infuriating. And I was like, hey, I've just moved the PS5 in here. I should probably check that the PS5 is doing 4K, right? Like, now completely ignoring the movie. And I switch it on, and it comes up, and it's like 2160p, and it's like, okay, no, that's good. And underneath it says HDR disabled. It's like, why? Why is HDR disabled? switch on HDR, and it's like, oh, in order to turn on HDR, you're going to have to put your PS5 into 1080p mode. Why?
What?
Why do I have to do that? And it's like, yeah, you can't show HDR content in 4K using your setup. Why? Why can't I do that? And then, suspiciously, I was able to fix that searching through Google in less than 60 seconds. So there, that shows you. I was able to manage a relatively complex HDMI issue in 60 seconds on Google, but couldn't find what app to use to watch the movie I'd rented on my Xbox.
Well, that's I don't know
20
why.
minutes.
I don't even know why you think that the Xbox was all about media. It's all about games.
You know
man.
what though? I will tell you the new store and everything on the Xbox is fantastic. They've done a really good job of making that much better. But the movie stuff is just terrible. Like that just hasn't caught up at all. I don't know why. Like there's no built-in thing
Might
on
be,
the Xbox that just lets me watch my movies.
Might be the similar thing. Didn't Sony just kind of like stop their whole media platform like that?
I think that they did. The PS5's dashboard is, I think, ironically an improvement over the PS4 one, but the majority of people are complaining that it's a downgrade. So
Why am I not surprised,
yeah.
Steve? Cause
I was never a fan of the cross media bar. So
yeah. Also,
one thing I will say that is annoying though, that they've gotten rid of the long press on the PlayStation button.
oh, it's all like to take up to the menu and you can just automatically.
Yep.
Oh man.
Can't, no, you now have to push that and scroll through a bunch of options until you get to your power settings. It's replacing like one long press with 5 other presses.
Oh, you know how efficient Sony is. But anyway,
Yeah.
my
So
God.
yes, that was my frustration trying to watch
Yeah.
this movie, and then I ironically, after paying to rent it, went back to watch it on a shitty site online.
Yeah. You did, because you said, yeah, I finished watching it on this, and I was like, what? And then you told me all about this
Yep.
saga, and I was like, what? But
Yep. So I've paid for it at least.
yeah.
They've got my money.
But it's the Sony GUI. You were always like, didn't like the Sony GUI, but you're always picking up the Xbox GUI, which is just a maze. A maze if you don't know where you're going. Once you know where you're going, it's fine.
Well, yeah, that is true. Like I think the
Xbox One GUI.
Xbox One GUI is much better now. Like much better. It makes more sense, and they've put in a lot of nice shortcuts to top and bottom and far left and far right, and like they've gotten rid of the panels across and just done it down the way, and it's much better. But the PS5 one I think is like nicely simplified and looks nice, but again with the thing with Sony is all of their settings are just buried.
Oh, don't want people to change things, man. That's how you break it.
No. Yeah. So on the plus side though, I now have everything set up the way it should be, which is nice. And then I ended up watching a movie on a tiny phone screen. So
Yeah, a 6-inch phone screen.
yep.
Yeah. So I, as Steve says, watched it through nefarious means. I watched it on a certain streaming website that people will probably be aware of. And it was scarily like trying to download things onto my computer. Good site. It's like, oh, I want to go full screen. No, you need to download this app. No, I don't want to download this app from this dodgy website. That is a bad idea.
Yeah. I definitely don't need to install the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya.exe.
Yeah, definitely do not want that. And I was like, what? and then today I rewatched it through the YouTube, which is also probably not exactly legal. And
No.
but don't worry, you're not going to understand the movie and the whole point of it because it misses out the most important scene in the movie.
To be fair, and I think this is probably quite an interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
This movie means nothing without the TV show. Like a lot of movies of animes still have context within themselves to be standalone enough.
Yeah, yeah. I
But this is
certainly.
just completely nothing without the anime.
Yeah, this movie was on Netflix in the UK a few years back, and I watched it
Oh
then.
really?
Yeah, I watched it then because like, oh, I
Oh
remember
wow.
that show. Only watching up to certain bits, and then I watched this and I was like, okay, it's an interesting story. It's the series certainly adds into it, but I think you could watch it standalone. Just be confused
You
as hell as
could.
what's going on, but like
Yeah.
watching the
It might
first,
be almost like one might say watching it in the broadcast order.
yeah. So what the hell's going on? Anyway, so we shall we start talking about the actual movie?
Can I like I grudge the idea of I think we need to rate the movie as a whole, of course. We're not going to give it a rating until the
Yeah.
set. We're gonna break this down into two episodes because this is a 3 hour long movie. There's a lot to talk about.
Yes.
But I also grudge the idea of people waiting to the second episode to find out if we what we thought of it generally.
Oh, okay. Right.
So like I kind of I want to set this up
Uh huh.
and I'd like to get not about specifics, but what do you think about this movie?
What I think. I think it is done a lot better than the second season. Certainly an improvement on that. That
Yes.
waste of time. Almost 8 episodes. God. Oh man, that's like what? How many minutes is that? So that's like three.
It's enough. It's 160 220 minutes
Yeah, 220 minutes. Yeah,
that we'll never
240.
get back.
Yep. Oh man. Oof. Anyway, yeah, I rate this quite highly. I think it was an entertaining movie. It's got some plot twists all the way through it. Um, I think it would be about, if I had to rate it out of 10, I think I'll go with the 7 on it. I was fairly entertained towards the end.
Okay. 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 I I think this movie's a masterpiece.
Alright, okay, yeah.
Like wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
This is like it's a proper work of art. Like it's not a like yes, without the anime it's a confusing mess because you just there's so much preface context for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But uh it, yeah, this is a solid 10 out of 10 for me.
Like a 10, yeah?
Yeah, like this in my opinion completely blows everything they did with the series right out the water to the point of the only reason I care about watching the show now is so that I had the context to watch this movie.
Oh, that's good then. That is a that's a raring review. Raring
I
review?
did not expect to have to end this on quite such a high like that.
Yeah.
But there's so much to talk about. Like there's just so much.
Yeah, yeah, there's a
Uh
good lot there, like.
yeah, I was honestly blown away by it in a way that I just couldn't have anticipated at all.
Oh.
Um, did a bit of digging after and found like the user scores for this movie are fairly high.
Yeah,
I think it's
people
got like an it's got like an 8.7 on IMDb, which is pretty rare.
wow.
And it's got an audience score of 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
95.
So yeah, like it's. I mean, it doesn't have an official Rotten Tomatoes score, but like the audience score is still high.
Yeah,
So
fan base, yeah.
yeah, so the fan base just love it. So yeah, I guess let's just jump straight into this then.
All right. So it starts off as pretty much a normal episode, really. They're in the school. It's winter set after like the last episode in season one.
The last chronological one.
Yeah.
That is, let me just find the name. Someday in the Rain.
Yeah.
Just the one where he goes to buy the space heater or pick up the space heater from the mall.
Yeah, and they kind of have like that
Yeah.
wee moment at the end.
Yep.
I kind of works on for that. And then it's coming up for Christmas. We're about to have a dance. And they meet up in the club room. I can't remember what. They had a sport event, didn't they?
She's not there at first.
Yeah. So they.
So the beauty of this is like if you look at and again like this is where this movie just surpasses everything the series does. It's like the color palette of everything is blues and purples and dark colors, but repeatedly you'll notice when he enters the SOS Brigade room, it's bright and vibrant.
Yeah.
And in the cases where with the case where he goes in at first, I think it's just Yuki is sat reading a book. Like
That's
he
obvious.
expects. I think he's like lamenting the fact that he's going to be annoyed by Haruhi. He's like, he's like building himself up. He's like, okay, and opens the door, and then she's not even there.
Yeah.
It's just Yuki.
Before that though, we're having a conversation during class, and he talks to
Yeah.
Tamagotchi, or whatever his name is.
Oh, what's his name? I wish I could remember his name. I don't care enough to remember.
Tama something.
Is he the older one?
No, he's in the same
Oh well,
class.
the taller one.
Hmm?
There's two friends. There's short friend and taller friend.
Yeah, he's the tall one. But they're
Yeah.
both there, and he's on about how 2 weeks time or something there's going to be a special event, and Kyone's like, yeah, we get to go on winter break, and it's like, no, I'm going to go out on a date type thing with this girl and all that.
That's right. Yeah. He's got a date with a girl from another school.
Yeah, hot date. Can't remember if it's the same school, the all girls school.
Oh, that's a good. Oh, is the one referenced later on?
Yeah, I think so.
That's. You know what? You're right because I think he says in this instance it's an all girls school.
Yeah.
Specifically highlights that. You're right. Shit, I hadn't even caught onto that. You're right. It is that school.
I got to admit that I didn't hear anything of the YouTube videos because they've set the volume so low so it doesn't get fucking picked up as copyright.
But yeah, you're right. He's having that conversation with his buddy, and he's kind of well. I think the kind of thing with Kyon that we've found so far is that he's a grump. He likes to moan about things, and in this case, you can see that he's annoyed, and the annoyance is probably more out of jealousy than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's always just annoyed at everything. And then, yeah, so it ends then, end of the day, you get to the club room, and like we said, Harry isn't actually there, and only Yuki. And he's like, oh, it's only her, that's fine. And then,
Yep.
instantaneously, Haruki kicks the door in. It's a big slam, anyway. It's like, ah!
It's huge. It's just like making an entrance as always.
Yeah. I can't remember what she says. But you've been waiting long or something like that.
Yeah, and then I can't remember how the remainder of the crew end up there, but they all end up there, sat around, and then Haruhi's like, "Aha, pen to the board.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a fucking Christmas party, yo."
Yeah, but
Is there?
she's not so forceful in this one. She's actually goes, what are you doing, Kyon? You're doing nothing, right?
She doesn't care.
She
She doesn't care.
You did nothing. I know you did nothing. What do you mean I'm doing nothing? Yeah, you did nothing. It's like, all right. And then she goes around the other room and they're all just like, yeah, we're not doing anything. Because
Yeah.
I don't have a date for Christmas Eve. So it's, what's his
Yep.
name? And then Keon comments and goes, yeah, that's because you've left yourself open for this for sure. Uh,
I think, yeah, because it gets to like Nagato, and she
mm,
doesn't even ask her. She just like
yeah.
continues on, and that is actually like, ironically, that is just that's a typical thing that will happen in the show, like because the assumption that Nagato will just do, and that's a key thing here.
But in this one, yeah.
I think that's very very important to note.
Yes.
Um,
And then is it this go to like the next day or does she just like so
no,
hang
I
out?
think she's I'm trying to remember. I feel like the order of this, the order of this is her like jamming Mikuru into a Santa costume. Is that the next day?
I can't really remember, but
Because of
essentially,
course he ends up like falling in the door, uh, and maybe accidentally getting a glimpse up her skirt.
yes, accidentally. But he does definitely does get a
Accident.
glimpse of the script because he's like best day ever.
Yep, he does. To be fair, is well. To be fair to him, the pervert is incredibly apologetic.
Yeah,
At least outwardly so.
yeah,
Um, and Haruhi's not pleased about that.
no, that's shockingly. Uh, but
Yeah,
it's their own fault because he was kind of leaning on the door. Well, and his fault for leaning on the door, and they opened it and he falls backwards. Um,
yeah.
and there's a lot of Christmas presents and stuff and hats and stuff, and I think they're throwing the party for the kids or something in the neighborhood.
I think there's a kids' party in Harui's neighborhood, and
Yeah,
she wants to also put on a show for the kids.
yeah. So I mean, that's
Um,
character development there. Doesn't sound like something that she would do beforehand.
yeah, it is a little bit.
Yeah, I think she got that from the arts festival when she helped out the band.
Yeah,
Uh,
just a little glimpse of her occasional selflessness.
yeah. Um, and then does this go home at that point? And then
This is where it all changes.
yeah, so this is where it kind of goes. He goes home and goes, ah, now comes the most horrifying hellscape of a thing that will happen. Technically, he what's he call it? Foretells it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and then yeah, so he goes to sleep that night, wakes up in the morning. Oh, and we shouldn't forget it's really really cold, cold enough to like split
yes.
the earth open if you hit it with a pick.
You constantly see people's breath when they're outside as well. It's kind of a noted thing in
Mm-hmm.
this movie.
Yep.
Presence of cold temperatures, sort of a thing, thematic thing that runs throughout the film. But yeah, he goes to sleep. He wakes up, drags himself into school.
Yep.
This is December 18th now,
I think so. Yeah.
and sits down in class, only to find that what's her name?
Oh no no, that's not till later, man. It's not
Is that not
premise.
later?
That is later
Stop.
premise.
Oh,
Because
oh no, he has the.
the
Sorry,
he
first of all,
what
he's having the conversation with it's Taniguchi, who's now sick.
Tamagotchi.
Taniguchi, yeah, Tamagotchi. But yeah, he's now sick and wearing a mask, which is definitely not weird watching that now. Um, you know, with the whole world being sick and wearing masks.
Yeah, well,
Um,
that's the thing that they did over in the Eastern
yeah,
area. But yeah, so
but he
he's wearing a mask and he goes, "Oh, that must have sneaked up on you. I was like, no, I've been like this for like the last couple of days. I was like, what? I honestly didn't notice. And what about your hot date? What hot date? Type thing.
It's getting a bit weird.
Yeah. And then they turn to class, and he goes,
But he said, does he not start to like? Keon is like, I guess maybe the fever uh, had him saying weird stuff about having a date.
something
Like he
like
starts to
that,
make excuses
yeah.
for how he could have misunderstood that or like still have heard it but it not be real.
Yeah, yeah. He's certainly thinking that. And then I think they also say that he talks to the short kid, whatever his name was. You got a list there.
Kunikida.
Kunikida.
Is it
Uh,
Kunikida?
I don't know. Short kid.
Yeah, I think it's Kunikida.
Yeah. And so he turns up the class, talks to him, and I think it comes to like lunchtime, and he goes, "Oh, she's not in today," and sits behind him, and had lunch, and they start talking about the fever. It's been going around the school. There's a lot of people off with it. It's not just the flu because you can't just get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Uh, um, talk about that, and then at some point in it, what's her name turns up from like the first episode of Haruhi Suzumiya episodes. What were they? Were they the Melancholy? Was that the Melancholy episodes? The first six.
What one's the? Uh, they would have been, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, the
So we're
first.
talking
So,
about Ryoko, yeah.
hmm? Ryoko.
Ryoko.
Yeah, I think it's her, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one that was the thought entity mistake
Yeah, she was like the
and the
backup.
class president.
Yeah, and tried to kill him.
Uh, yeah, so she's back.
Yeah, but much to Kion's surprise, he's all like, "What? What are you doing here?
Yeah,
I thought you
she's
transferred."
there now.
You know,
Yep.
and he's like, you know, she shouldn't be here and stuff like that. And then it turns out that she's actually sitting behind Kion in the class, and so "What? Where's
Yep.
Harry?" And they're like, "Who? What are you talking about,
Yeah.
crazy man?" That's, she's never. She's always been here, and
Yeah.
Harry's
And
never
we
been
don't know
here.
who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah. We don't know who the hell that is.
yeah.
So
Get a the rest out of her drawer. She's still the class president,
yep.
and they go, "Oh yeah, she's not there." And it's like, "No,
Oh yeah, yeah, because he like grabs the register straight from her. It's like looking through the names and can't see her name there.
yeah,
I must admit, like it's sort of it's not how like I didn't read a synopsis for this movie. It's not how I expected it to go.
all right, okay."
I had no real idea how
I,
this would come together.
you don't really know in this anime series. It's kind of all over the place
Yeah,
half the
very true.
time.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
But yeah, he gradually grows increasingly angry and agitated
hmm
at the fact that people are obviously staring at him, saying, "The hell's wrong with this guy?" And I think like Ryoko offers to take him to the nurse because she thinks he's sick,
yeah, yeah,
or like tells him to go to the nurse. It's like you should probably go to the nurse.
yep. Um, and then he goes out of the class to look for
Mm-hmm.
the other guy.
Koizumi.
Koizumi, that's the name. Yeah.
He goes to look for Class 9.
Oh, he's out to look for Koizumi and all the others. So, and he walks by
Yeah.
the thing and is like, "Wait, there's no class 9. What the hell?"
Classes 1 to 8. Only
Yep,
1 to 8.
the whole class has disappeared, and then some teacher goes, "Oh, the bell's rung. Shouldn't you be in class?"
Yeah.
And then he goes back to class, I suppose. Where Tamaguchi,
He was the one the other one that's sick, Taniguchi. Yeah,
Yeah, he's been in the nurse's office because
yeah. He just went straight to school and went straight to the nurse's office. So
his dad wouldn't let him stay off school.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
so he went there. And then I think it ends school day. And then does he bump into like Mikuru and the other her friend?
He bumps into Mikuru and Surya,
Yeah,
and is like so happy to to see her. I think he's on the way to the SOS brigade room when he sees her,
yeah,
and like sort of grabs at her, which is not cool when she has apparently no idea who he is
no, no.
at all.
She's her own weak self and going type thing.
Yep.
Uh
And this goes in a place where I saw it coming as soon as I saw the look in his face. Where he's like, because of course he's saying Surya and Mikuru's name or Miss Asahina.
uh
He's saying their names, and they're getting more and more frightened about the fact that this crazy person who they've never really spoken to seems to know who they are.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and then of course he's like, "Oh, I know a way. Like you can, if you just show me the star shaped mole on your left breast," and she's like,
yeah,
and like I saw it coming. Like I saw the look in his face, and it was like Enrique's like, "Oh," and it's like, "No, don't ask that. That's a bad thing." Like if the name ain't working. Like I appreciate that that is a bit of information that might be a bit more personal, but maybe it's not the kind of thing you just spring on someone. Um, and she like kind of has a bit of a meltdown. Um, gives him a solid punch in the face.
yeah, yeah. She actually stands up for herself and punches him in the face.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yep. And then Suzumiya also grabs her hand off of Mikuru and goes, "Leave us alone." I think.
Yeah, Surya's got him like constantly hand bent back, and he's like, "Oh, it's very painful," and she's like, "No, I know." And Mikuru's in like further down the hall, about to like trying to leave, and Surya's like, if you do that again, I'll basically kill you. She like kind of like spins around and punches straight to in front of his face and just holds it there. It's like, oh yeah, she's gonna beat the snot out you.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Totally destroy him.
I I felt I think like there's a really great sadness in this. Like you become very accustomed to the characters, and I like whether I think the show is fantastic or not, like that, that's an aside, but there's a dynamic that group has,
Mm-hmm.
and to see them not remember each other is an odd thing. It doesn't sit right. So I like there's a sort of a genuine sympathy for Kyon at this point, like because he's clearly hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's painful for him to, because it's not like it's this is not a dream. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is a very, oh, that is a point actually. He asks Taniguchi to no, sorry, Kunikida to pinch him. I forgot about that. But he's like, could you just like pinch me?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I just want to wake up.
Right.
Like, no, okay. But yeah, like it's ever clear that this is not a dream, and because of the circumstances under which the show exists, this is a reality he could face without any ability to change it.
Yeah.
So like, there's a real hopelessness at the start. Um, I think that's really interesting to me, because even as a person watching the show or watching the movie, uh, I felt the same. Like, because it's not like I know they could wish it away in a second, but it doesn't seem like that's where it's going. It's like, no, this is we're going for dramatic change here.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is the world is now different. So you could and you know, again, with the way the show went, you're like, this could do this. This could just be the new norm for him.
yeah. Just
It's like that would be really harsh.
just rewrite the whole world, as it were.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that'd be crazy.
yeah, because uh, as his next stop is the SOS Brigade Club room, and finds out
Yep.
it's still literally club room with just one member, Yuki.
Subtle differences though,
Hmm.
because he does notice that the computer that wasn't there originally is there here.
Yes.
So like this is not what he has noticed is that the timeline is different, or whatever this is different enough, but it's not different in that none of the changes that were initiated by what they did have taken place. Like, so there's things that have permeated through that difference,
Yeah.
and the computer in the room is one of those things.
Yeah. And also what he asks Nagato, he goes, "Oh, Nagato, do you know me?" And she goes, "Yes, I know you."
Yep.
And it's like, "Oh, good. Here's what I know of you," and then starts talking about aliens, espers, and time travelers, and that she's an alien. I was like, "Hey, that's great." And she goes, "Oh, no, I don't know you that well. You
No,
help. You
you're
help."
you're in class 5, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's at this point she goes in that like, says that he helped her in the library.
That's right.
Yeah,
Which is like, as we sort of learn, is that memory is important to her. Like, there's a real importance to that.
hmm,
She was in the library and overwhelmed, and he helped her through the whole process of getting a library card. And as we know, like, in one of the episodes, that is the case. Like, he does get Yuki a library card, but that's because they're basically wasting time trying to not look for fucking ghosts and shit.
yeah. That was I think that was the second episode.
I think you might be right, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, way back at the start when he meets up and she goes, "Right, we're going to do this now," and it's like, "Meet
Yeah.
here." Um, and then so at this point he browses through the books because he's just sitting there going, "Oh shit, what am I doing now? Like, I found everyone that I know of, and no one's here. Like, Haruhi Suzumiya, no one knows of." Because I think he asked Yuki
Yep.
about, and she's like, "No, I don't know her." Koizumi's not about to ask because he's the other person to ask, and he's not even there.
He just basically doesn't exist at the school anymore. So
Yeah, or doesn't exist. And it's like, oh shit.
yeah,
Um, so he sits there next to the computer, thinking, "Oh, Yuki left me a message in the computer one time before. Maybe she's done it again," and she hasn't.
well, he asks her if he can use the computer,
Mm-hmm.
and then it uses the Windows 95 boot sequence, which has made me happy. Even had the noise.
I think it
It's
does.
so
Yeah.
good.
Oh,
It's great.
it was pretty good. Um, yeah, and then he starts browsing the books at the back behind him.
Yep.
And finds the book that Nagato lent him at the start with the hidden message in it, I think.
Yes, she asks him to read it. This is the yeah. Basically, there was a note in it asking to meet her,
In the park.
and then and then he didn't. So she just sat there all night, and then was there the next night.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that it's this in the same thing, and in it there's it's sort of a bookmark like thing with a tassel on it that has a note that says you must find all of the keys to sort of resolve the situation.
Yeah.
And of course, I think at this point he goes to Yuki and it's like, you remember writing this, right? Because you did this. And then when she's like, no, he has like a total freak out. and kind of attacks her and assaults her.
He does it a lot in this, it seems, to be honest.
He does. He assaults a lot of people. Like,
He gets
it made me
very,
quite uncomfortable.
it's quite,
The
quite
level of
agitated.
assault.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
all,
I suppose like I get it. Like I get your whole world is now completely different overnight, and you're speaking to someone that yesterday you knew and now they don't know you. Like I understand, but also holy shit, man! Like take a breath.
yeah.
Uh,
It does come up back to there was a statement in it where he makes some statement saying, "Oh, because I'm kind of used to this stuff, it hasn't really phased me that much." But
yeah,
that's
jeez,
obviously not true since he's assaulting all his apparently friends.
yeah, yeah. He's getting
Yeah.
pretty handsy.
Mm.
Of course, he does then sort of like go, "Oh, that was bad," and then kind of goes over into the corner in his own chair, puts that up, and then just kind of lies head in hands, like, "Holy shit, what do I do?" Um,
Yeah,
and again, like that, you start to, although like the thing about Yuki in this whatever this is she's timid and scared and just more even more so than Mikuru.
yeah,
And it's quite a juxtaposition to the character that she portrays
yeah,
before. Like
yeah.
they're polar opposites, and there's a humanity to her that she doesn't have as the thought entity,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she's
which is
originally she's quiet and doesn't say much, but is
yeah
very authoritative in her quietness. And that when she does say things, it's like, yeah, this is why it's happening. You're all idiots. Well, she didn't ever put it like
yeah
that.
she speaks up when it's necessary,
Yeah,
and yeah,
and our,
I it's interesting,
yeah.
and of course like he she is this the part where she gives him the leaflet.
No, because he has 2 days to solve the riddle. Uh,
Yeah,
the
yes, it's yeah, that's right. Sorry, you're right. It's you have 2 days, and then he has to debate whether that was 2 days from when he woke up or 2 days from now.
Yeah, because I think he's been there a day already. I think
Yeah, or he's at the end of the 18th anyway.
something
So
like,
like,
yeah. And then so he goes away, goes back home. I think his sister comes into his room with the cat, the talking cat
yeah,
that was from the time when they were filming the movie.
yeah, yeah, that he told not to talk, and so
Yeah,
it didn't.
yeah. It was like, okay, and then he asked his sister if he remembers Harry, and she was like, who? Type thing. I was like, okay. When did we get this
It's like
cat?
you know,
I was, oh, you got it from a friend who's
he
moving
went
away.
overseas.
Yeah. And then he's like, I need to talk to the cat. Leave. Please leave.
It's just like what? You mean talk? And then he like does he not like hit her on the head with the cat toy?
Something like that. Once again,
And then he like picks her
hand.
up and drops her outside, and she like puts her slippers on. And is like, "Oh, mom, Keon's crazy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Something's wrong with him."
He's trying to talk to a
She's not
cat.
wrong, but yeah. And of course, then he does. He sits and tries to ask the cat to use its left paw to say yes and right paw to say no.
Yeah. And
To which
just
its response is, "Please rub my belly." So
possibly. And he asks it to speak. It says, discard my order of not speaking again. And please tell me anything, just anything. And the cat was like, huh? It's like, oh, great, I'm crazy. Comes to his own conclusion that he's crazy
yeah,
for asking the cat questions.
yeah,
Uh,
that he's not wrong.
yeah, so it comes the next day, and he's still pondering over the riddle. Uh,
Yeah,
Tamaguchi.
Tana Gucci.
Tanaguchi, not Tama. Tana.
Yeah,
Uh, he um, he still isn't in. He's still off. He's actually off today.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's right.
yep. And then what's her name is in today, and he has a conversation with her, and she was basically like, "I think you should go to the hospital."
Yep,
And he's
because
like,
you're still spouting craziness.
"Yeah,
Stop that.
you're still cray cray boy. You cray cray."
Yeah, she's convinced he's nuts, and she may be right.
Yeah, or she might not be. And then goes back to the SOS club, speaks to Yuki again. Uh, and then they have a conversation, and she's like, currently looking at him, going, "Oh yeah." And then I was like, well, I think she hands him the note that day. Oh,
Yeah, that's the. So now we're on the 20th because this is what perceivably would be the last day at the earliest for resolving the keys.
yeah. Well, I think it's the next because I think this happens in between, and then
Yeah,
because Taniguchi is off, uh,
yeah, that
and
which is key to this as well because him not being there is a problem.
yeah,
Uh,
because I mean it was referenced way back in the first episode where he talks about her. Anyway, so
yeah,
and then she hands him the form and goes, "Oh, would you like to join the literary club?" type thing. Like, she's kind of fond of Keon in a shy way.
yep,
Uh,
yep.
and he's like, "All right, cool. I'll think about it. I'll come back tomorrow. I'll maybe sort something out."
And this is late at night, right? Like
Yeah,
because does he not? He stands up to leave, and then she's like, "Oh," and then gets up and starts getting ready to go, and he's like, "Have you have you been waiting for me to go?"
yeah, pretty much. It's like, oh,
Oh, maybe.
yeah, yeah, and then
I
the walk home.
I would like to point out because this is the bit where they're sort of walking together in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sort of like these dark, beautiful blue and purple colors, and it's cold again. Like that theme continues, and they kind of he talks to her and gets to know her as she is
Yeah,
now,
mm-hmm.
and just the just to note like the just beautiful shots of like the lights and the cars and things like that. The whole scene is just incredible to look at. I just love it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're outside the Family Mart, which kind of is a back and forth. The and he's asking if she lives alone because I think he knows from before that she does live alone.
Yeah,
And she's like, yeah. And she's like, do you want to go to where I live? He's like, okay,
yeah,
sure. And I think in his mind, it's like, I don't know if she's being coy or really aggressive here, but okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So he ends up going to Nagato's place, which is in the same building. It's the same place. And as we remember from the episode where Mikuru and Kyon time travel, there's the room where they basically slept for 3 years while Nagato stood watch.
mm-hmm.
So he asks to see the room
Yeah,
when he comes in, and it's the same room. It's the same place.
yeah,
And we have a very similar scene to I think part three, Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya part three, where they have that conversation about who she is and what her purpose is. Like they're sat, across from each other at the table drinking tea.
yeah.
Um, and then the doorbell rings.
Yep. And then comes crazy girl, cray cray girl,
Yeah, Ryoko.
Ryoko. Yeah, that's it's like, oh.
And she's brought food.
And he goes, "What you're doing here?" And she's like, "Well,
Yeah,
I'm here to be kind of like a charity worker type person, bring food to the table." The
yeah.
real
But
question is,
also, I
what?
live in this building.
Yeah, what you doing here? Is more of the that question. It's like, oh, would you not have some food with us? I was like, no,
Yep.
no, I better go. And then he looks at Nagito and goes, yeah, okay, I'll stay. Because she seemed.
Well, no, no. He actually gets up to leave,
Mm-hmm.
and this is one of these beautiful touches in this film as well, where he doesn't want to stay to talk to Ryoko,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and he's like, you know what, I need to go, and he stands up to go. He's almost on his way out the door, and Nagato comes back in, and she has three bowls for the food, not just two.
Ah,
And he explains that he's leaving, and this is where we get this like really it's kind of like a lovely still shot of like her just pinching the sleeve on his jacket, like to ask him to stay. It's like I
yeah,
won't say stay, but
stay.
like because
Yeah,
she's yeah she's shy and reserved and doesn't want to ask that of people, but like wants to try to ask for what she wants, and he does. He's like, yeah, actually, I will stay. That would be good.
yeah.
And I think that's actually one of the things I absolutely adore about this movie is the soundtrack, which is just next level incredible. Like as orchestration goes, it is far and away better than anything that the show had. Like it's just so gorgeously produced, and the soundtrack actually has a cover of that scene, like is with Kyun with his back to Nagato with her holding his sleeve. That's the cover of the CD,
Mm-hmm.
which I really really liked. But I have spent a long time listening to that soundtrack,
All right.
independent of this movie,
Okay.
like
Wait.
several hours now.
All right. I mean, because I don't know. I thought you finished watching it today.
Oh, I have listened to that soundtrack literally all day.
Jesus. Yeah.
Like it's incredible. Is I like as a person who like I love cinema score in general,
Mm-hmm.
and it is not it's not bog standard. It's not typical. It is just expertly orchestrated and composed. Like it's just really incredible, and it's those kind of things where with soundtracks, I think there are some soundtracks that just sound great on their own, and I don't really care for how they set up with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are some soundtracks that just work beautifully with the visuals and the cinema. And then I think there's others that sort of straddle both, where it's like they just work incredibly well with the visuals of the movie, but they're still massively evocative and powerful on their own. In particular, there's a piece from the movie called Ready, which we're not at that point yet, but there's a piece of music. It's about 4 minutes long, and it's just wonderful. Like they just do such an amazing job. Everything in this film is stepped up like a million percent. It's not. It doesn't have the same goofiness. It doesn't have the same lightheartedness anymore. There's a somberness and a grounded tone. Like even for something so fantastic, it all feels very contemporary and very grounded in reality. And I think this is just one of these scenes that feels very very real. It's something that just could happen. It's not just despite the fantastical circumstance. It's like this is a really normal thing. This is just someone who is really struggling to connect and struggling to communicate their their want to get to know a person better. But this kind of weird thing where it's like, well, I'm happy to do it, but also I don't want to get to know you. I want you to be back to the way you were before, and I think that's like this weird, sad tone to all of this
Yeah.
because it's like this real desperation for Nagato to have that more humanness and to connect with people, and he desperately wants that from the Nagato he knows, but not from this one.
Yeah.
And I just find that quite sad in general. It's just very somber.
Yeah.
Um, but the
Yeah.
whole scene is amazing. Like it's really 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 well put together, and they have like a nice little conversation, and then Ryoko is very commanding and tells her what to do with the leftovers and says she'll be back tomorrow for the will be back tomorrow for my dishes. You better have them. Uh,
Yeah.
and then he ends up sort of leaving at the same time.
Uh, I thought she left like a good 40 few minutes before, the way it seemed to go in the movie, but they appear in the elevator together and she's talking to him.
Yeah,
Or he's kind of
I,
deep in thought
I,
or ignoring her.
yes, I thought more of ignoring, but yeah, I think you're right. Like he's probably quite deep in thought.
He was like, shit,
Um,
how am I getting out of this?
yeah, there's like a this is a kind of a foreshadowing conversation where Ryoko is kind of probing uh, Kyon about his intentions with uh, with Yuki,
Mm-hmm.
um, and she's saying that you should be please don't hurt her. She's very fragile, and she's like because I would never forgive you.
Yeah, it's her.
I would never
It's her
forgive you
words.
if you were to hurt her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a again it's like contextually with what we know right now. I think it's like it's kind of a it's very normal. It's a very normal conversation.
Yeah.
Uh,
Someone looking out for someone else.
yeah, it's nice. Like I I could wax lyrical about that whole scene. I just love it. Like I really do. Like that from the moment they leave the school to the point where he's staying for dinner is just it's pure cinematic masterpiece. It's just great.
Okay, that's good.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Aye. It's a good scene. It's certainly informative in how things are
Yeah,
happening, pushing it forward.
I think it pushes the narrative in a really great way. Uh, and I think it's amazing as well. Like there's so little has happened really,
Yeah,
and we're about an hour in at this point, I think,
it's got to be about an hour. Yeah.
and it didn't feel like an hour. Um, but there's not like you say, there's not much happened because there's so much lather, rinse, repeat around the sort of I'll check if this person's here, they're not here. I'll check if this person's here, oh they're not here.
Yeah.
I'll check if they're here, oh they are, but they're not who they think they are, or who they
Yeah.
are supposed to be.
Oh, they don't remember
There's a
me.
lot of back and
Yeah.
forth on that. Yeah, yeah. Like,
I
so
mean,
then he ends up going home. Um, he's got his bike at this point.
does he have his. No. I don't think he's got his bike. Did they bring his bike in?
I see.
Did he cycle to school?
I don't know. See, that's the thing is that I don't think he did, and I don't know why I have it in my head that he had his bike at one point. But I remember him saying is like, I should go to bed. Like, but you know what? I think I'm trying to remember how that fits in. But yeah, he basically is sort of it's torn between the. It's like if I go to bed, that's just more time has passed, and I still haven't figured this out. But also like, should go to bed.
Yeah. Well, he's coming up to his last day,
Yeah,
technically. Just
yeah,
from finding things like 2 days since he's found it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
so he goes.
and he does.
Yeah. So he goes to bed, and then he goes back to school. Is it just turns out to be like what's his name there? Taniguchi's now in school and they're talking, and it's lunchtime, and he comes up and goes, "Hey, come on, help me with this chemistry thing because I had no idea." And then Kyon looks at him and goes and calls over his other friend.
Yeah, it's it's pretty good actually because he's like I was finally so sick that my dad was just like yeah just stay home. But now I'm back. Also, I don't understand chemistry at all. Can you make me understand this?
Yeah,
Now he's like, no, Kunikita, please come over and explain to him these things.
yeah.
And they kind of, I can't,
I
I
think
can't remember how exactly this works, but yeah, they're talking about. I remember it being chemistry related because he's talking about moles.
yeah. Oh, is this the point where he's either walking home from Yuki's or walking to school or something like that? And this is the point. It's like, ah. if I didn't have all that crazy ass experience for the last entire year, this would like bother me a lot more, type thing.
You're probably right.
He definitely says it at some point where he says he's
He's
used to all it, so it's not bothering him that much.
yeah, he's totally deluded.
Yeah,
This is bothering him. This is literally core-shakingly bothering him.
it is.
Like he is physically upset frequently, and just so disillusioned with his new reality
Yeah,
all the time.
and I suppose at this moment he's trying to maybe go, oh well, I suppose this is it. I'm never going to do it, type thing. And in class talking to Taniguchi, and yeah, and he's having issues with his chemistry, and they're sorting out the chemistry, and then he was on about, oh, I heard you went crazy shit with Ryoko, type thing, talking about she shouldn't be here and stuff like that. It's like, uh-huh. And there was like this other girl that you were saying should be here, and that's what's his name, the short one, saying that, and it's like, well, what is it, Haruhi, someone, and then Taniguchi goes, wait, what? You're not talking about Haruhi Suzumiya, and it's like, you know her, you gotta tell her.
But it's the realization there is even better because like when he says he's like, "Oh, Haruhi Suzumiya," he's like, "Mm-hmm." Wait, what? No, wait. Did you said the name of the person? Wait, you know that person? Like it's like this
Yeah.
really slow lead in because he's so despondent. He's like, "Yeah, nobody knows who this person is." It's like, "Wait, yeah, okay. No, wait, you know who they are." Oh my god! And gets very excited,
Yeah, and he goes,
and
oh,
then goes into full on assault mode again.
there's a part between it. It's like he goes and says, "Oh yeah, you don't really want to get into her, or she's got great looks, but her personality is whack." It's like 3 years ago she did this thing, and it's like, I know, type thing because he was
Yeah,
there, and
I was there. I know.
I know, and then he's essentially starts insulting him. It's like, "Oh, you slimy octopus," and it's like, "Well, you're an old cracking squid."
That's right.
And then they
The
start,
insults are so lame.
yeah, and then he starts fighting them and stuff like that, and basically, oh yeah, well she goes to the school,
Yeah.
and even
The
that
all girls school. Well, he says the all girls school, and he goes, "No, that place has been
co-ed for a few
place
years now.
co-ed for a while." And it's like, oh, you're like, God, yeah, that's another change here.
Yeah,
Um,
and
which is of course a bit of a lead in to where we end up. But yeah,
yeah, good.
I think, and I think we discussed this is where we should probably end it for episode one.
Oh yeah, I want to end it just in a few seconds because he runs out the door at that point, and
Yeah, he does.
he goes, "Thanks, Tamagotchi," or
Yeah, he
Taniguchi.
does.
After
thanks
after he
him.
beat after
He's
almost beating them up for being like, what?
He's been properly shaking him about, and then he's like, "Oh, and thanks."
Yeah, and then runs out the door, saying,
Yeah.
"Make some excuse up for the homeroom teacher."
Tell them I was too sick and nearly died and went home or something.
Or
Like whatever.
or had a mental breakdown and assaulted
Yeah.
everyone. So
Because that would never happen.
yeah, never. But yeah, we should probably cut it here. It seems like a good length for the podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, and a good point in the story because shit's about to get real.
Oh God, there's so much to talk about, and like I did a bit of research earlier on as well because like I do I find all the podcast images and things like that for the episodes, and normally it's a bit more of a challenge to find ones that I want to use, specifically. There's so many I want to use for like these two episodes. There's so many gorgeous cinematic scenes and stills, and it's like, well, I can only use two of these, and one of them has to be relevant to the first half of the episode. So
Well,
I guess we're gonna do that.
I got to say though, this is a full blown movie. I think it was actually probably aired in cinemas.
Oh, it was. It was.
Yeah, So they also
It
got
was
like
like made.
the cinematic budget for it.
Oh, totally. Like they made. I think it was 300 million yen in its first week in Japan.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, so one thing I would say, yeah. So this is probably our highest budget animated episodes ever that we've done.
totally. Yeah,
Not
this
not
is
in the
not.
not in the show, but like in the actual thing that we watched.
Yeah, but I think like I don't know what the budget was actually. We should probably have checked. Uh, if that's even a thing. The total box office was 830 million yen.
830 million yen.
Yeah, which I'm going to translate now into pounds. That's what's that? 5 million? Doesn't seem like a lot. Yeah, £5 million. That doesn't seem like a lot.
Depends how much they spent in the budget, man. Maybe it explains why they haven't made anything after that. This came out in 2009.
Yeah, I
Also,
mean, it's
oh,
it says where is it? What's this? Uh, Fact checking does definitely not kill podcasts. I read this earlier, but I can't find where it says it now.
oh,
It says like it was shown in a number of theaters, for sure.
mhm. Oh,
Yeah, there you go. It's 830 million yen. Was it made at the box office?
yeah.
And if I go and look at the top 10 uh, anime movies for that year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it was 12th that year.
All right. What was number one?
Karagarashi no Ariati. So it's the Miyazaki film.
All right. Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
there's a big jump.
Yeah.
It did come out the same year as the Professor Layton movie, which it beat.
Uh huh. I can imagine that.
Um, it did relatively well compared to like there's like Naruto and Gintama are here like not too much more than it. So
Yeah.
there's a Mobile Suit Gundam movie that it did almost as well as. Um, yeah, like it seems to be fairly successful.
Yeah. Okay. That seems good.
Yeah, like I think was not necessary for it to do more than that because I think it's a kind of a niche popular anime anyway.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's so much more to talk about.
Yep.
So we should end this episode and to put the cap on it then.
Hmm.
If I can remember my spiel, uh, Who's That Anime is a podcast. You can find us at anchor.fm, Who's That Anime. If you're listening to us, chances are it's probably there already. But obviously, our podcast is available on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, pretty much any podcatcher you want. We're
Hmm.
there. Please feel free to tell friends about us, or leave a review. Either one would be fantastic. Don't need a 5-star review. Any review is good. Any feedback is also good. We have a Facebook page. That's facebook.com/. Who's That Anime. There we normally post when new episodes are coming out and occasionally some anime memes and things.
Hmm.
Um, we also have some videos planned. We do record these in video format as well. You will hear us talk about the format of these sometimes. We have videos in the backlog to put up on a YouTube channel that we have as well, that we will share as soon as that's ready. If you like to watch video games, Colin plays video games at twitch.tv/couchfuel.
Yeah.
There's a backlog of your videos on YouTube as well at Couchfuel.
Yeah, our videos.
There.
Our videos. Mainly, I don't think.
Yeah. They're more mainly yours now, but yeah, I'm there in a lot of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really uploaded anything in a while and streamed for a while, to be
Yeah.
honest. But maybe I'll get back there. I got to think of a game to do. I was playing Biomutant, and it's not a game to stream, I think. It's a bit repetitive and heavy-handed and open world, and then kind of went around doing all the side worlds, and I feel like I'm too powerful for it. Yeah, not powerful enough to kill the boss, because you got to do things in it to kill them.
What a balance.
It's a quality balance game.
So yeah, you can watch Colin when he's live at twitch.tv/couchfuel, or you can search for Couchfuel on YouTube, and there is a YouTube channel with hundreds of hours of streams and videos and different things for you there to watch as an archive.
Yeah.
Sometimes I stream horror movie games at twitch.tv/hailpayman, and again, there's an archive of my work and videos on YouTube as well. Just search for Hail Payman, and the channel is there. I think that's where we're at. You want to send us home?
Yeah. So yeah, it's been Who's Your Anime? Talking about the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya movie, Part 1. Next week will be Part 2. And we'll come to our exciting conclusion.
Yep, we're going to talk a lot.
I think Steve might talk a lot more, yeah.
I have stuff to say. Yeah, I will do more talking about stuff. But yes, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week.
Yep. Speak to you later. Bye.
Bye, folks.